Welcome to the Edgeworth Echoes podcast, discovering Edgeworthstown, a hidden gem of Irish history.
Welcome to another edition of the Edgeworth Echoes podcast. This is your host, John. This episode is looking at a book, one published 225 years ago. The name of the book is Belinda, and this year the Society are celebrating its anniversary on the 26th of March in Dublin. You can find details on our website, www.mariaedgeworthcentre.com. It's a book that Jane Austen described as a work in which the greatest powers of the mind are displayed. At its heart, Belinda is a romance novel. A young woman introduced to high society in the hope of meeting a man to be a suitable husband. The Belinda of the title is Belinda Portman, who comes as a guest to the home of Lord and Lady Delacour, a place where the cream of society mingles and enjoys the pleasures of good company. This next section is a brief overview of the story, the main characters and events. Belinda is not the kind of woman who gets her head turned by a rich suitor. She feels strongly that there is more to love and marriage than the trappings of wealth and a place in society's ladder. While in the house, she comes to realise that not everything is as simple as it looks. Lord and Lady Delacour are estranged, and Belinda learns that Lady Delacour has sent her daughter away to be raised by another family as she doesn't feel able to raise the child herself. Lady Delacour thought that Clarence Hervey might be a good match for Belinda, but at a masquerade ball, Clarence, thinking he was talking to Lady Delacour, was less than complimentary about Belinda. When Lady Delacour banished Belinda, she went to stay with the Percivals, who were raising Lady Delacour's daughter, and it was there she met Mr. Augustus Vincent, a man from the Caribbean, who Belinda finds appealing, and they seem destined to be married. He even proposes, until Belinda finds out he has been gambling his money away, and she decides to end her relationship with him. Lady Delacour and Belinda get reunited when Belinda learns that the lady is sick and near death. However, it turns out that a quack doctor has been mistreating the lady, and a qualified doctor helps Belinda nurse Lady Delacour back to health. And while this proceeds, Lord and Lady Delacour become reunited, not just with each other, but with their daughter. Belinda and Clarence find they have much in common, after all, and they choose to get married. This clip features some conversation between Belinda and Lady Delacour.
You may depend upon my secrecy.
Secrecy, that is a virtue I have never yet met with in a young lady. I am not what I appear to be.
Then let me see you as you really are.
You have saved me from ruin.
No, only from error.
So that's the basic plot. Pretty familiar romantic tropes even back at the start of the 19th century. However, Maria was not just a regular writer. How she was educated, how she viewed the position of women in the world, all influenced her writing, and that helped shape the contents of the novel. The book features women dressing as men and fighting a duel. During that duel, Lady Delacour gets a breast injury that she is convinced is cancer, and her quack doctor prescribes laudanum, to which she becomes addicted. Another type of addiction affects Mr. Vincent, the addiction to gambling, and the unscrupulous people feed this addiction by letting him win, then lose, and try to win his money back again. In early editions of the book, Mr. Vincent is described as having large dark eyes, an aquiline nose, fine hair, and a manly sunburned complexion. Some have interpreted this as him being a Creole, a mix of black and white parents, hinting at an interracial relationship between Belinda and Mr. Vincent. Also, in the earlier editions, Mr. Vincent has a black servant called Juba, who ends up marrying a white English girl. While the characters in the book find nothing unusual about this, after all, Belinda drops her interest in Mr. Vincent due to his gambling, not his race, Some critics did not approve of these interracial romances, and indeed Richard Lovell Edgeworth suggested to his daughter that she edit this section of the book, which means that Juba disappears and Mr. Vincent no longer proposes marriage.
My father says that gentlemen have horrors upon this subject and would draw conclusions very unfavourable to a female writer who appeared to recommend such unions.
The man who Belinda does marry has his own secrets. He adopts a young woman called Virginia and plans to raise her to be the perfect wife, keeping her away from the social circle that he inhabits and sheltering her from the reality of life. This story echoes the real-life account of Thomas Day, a friend of Richard Lovell Edgeworth and a member of the Lunar Society. Day adopted a young girl called Sabrina Sidney and planned to make her into his perfect wife. Eventually, however, Edgeworth persuaded Day to give up the experiment, and she eventually married a John Bicknell. In Richard Lovell's memoirs, he claimed Sabrina had loved Day. Sabrina, on the other hand, said she was miserable with Day and that he treated her as a slave. So this sordid tale became a part of the book. Clarence realised that though he preferred the thoughtful and independent Belinda, he felt a duty to Virginia and was prepared to marry her, but she rejected him, preferring a sailor she had met. This freed up Clarence to propose to Belinda. When Mr. Vincent loses all his money, he tries to commit suicide, but is stopped by Clarence Hervey. Clarence lets Vincent know that he was playing a rigged game, and he gets Mr. Vincent's money back by threatening to expose the owner of the rigged table. The novel is cited as pioneering in that it bridged the gap between 18th century moral tales and the realistic, character-driven fiction of the 19th century. It painted a different picture of a heroine prioritising marital compatibility, affection and personal judgment over fortune hunting. The book highlighted the hidden side of London high society, addressed topics like cross-dressing, addiction, interracial romance, and suggested women might benefit from education to encourage a rational thought. Also, with the character of Lady Delacour, Edgeworth created one of her more complex and lasting characters. Indeed, some have argued that the book should be called Lady Delacour. That brings us to the end of another episode. I do hope this episode will encourage you to read the book for yourself. Indeed, if you'd like to read the version of the book that matches the first edition as originally written by Maria Edgeworth, then you can buy this version at our website. Thank you for listening to this podcast. Please do spread the word, and I look forward to meeting you again soon. If you are interested in learning more about the Society and the history they preserve, please visit www.mariaedgeworthcentre.com. You can sign up to our newsletter, book tours, learn about our annual literary festival, and read up on some of the remarkable people who have links to our town.
This has been the Edgeworth Echoes podcast, rediscovering history.